Levels of Competence was initially started by Martin Brodwell in the 1960s. The first mention of the four levels of competence was noted in an article entitled Teaching for Learning in 1969. Based upon this initial work, Noel Birch further developed this theory, renaming it as the four phases of learning new skills. Within this framework, an individual moves through the four stages of learning, growing from an ignorance level to a mastery level. Each stage or level focuses on a mastery of learning. Ignorance, awareness, learn, mastery. The best part of this theory is the simplicity. It's very easy to use, especially when looking at OJT, on-the-job training, or apprenticeships. So let's start with unconscious incompetence. This is that ignorance level. So at this beginning phase, the individual is simply unaware that the concept or information even exists. Ignorance does not, and I cannot say this enough, it does not refer to an individual being ignorant. It does, however, refer to the individual not knowing that the topic or the information even exists. Next, we're going to look at that awareness phase, the conscious incompetence. This is where the individual may have been introduced to a new concept, but they don't fully understand the information or the concept. The individual lacks proficiency in this new area. We're going to look at learning in the conscious competence phase. So the new skill is being used, but it's being used with effort. The learner is trying on those new skills, but it may not be able to really function fluidly or make things work quite the way that you would like for them to work. Lastly, mastery and unconscious competence. This new skill is automatic, it's simple, and it takes little to no effort. So my favorite example of this theory and practice would be driving. So ignorance. As a child, you may even realize or not realize all of the different skills that are needed to drive a car. You just get in the car and a licensed individual drives you where you need to go. However, when we move into that awareness phase, that new driver starts to observe the instructor. They're observing what's going on. Maybe that new driver is even reading that driver's manual and they're preparing to take that new exam. We then move into that learning phase. The new driver is behind the wheel. They suddenly recognize the need to pay attention to the 3 or more mirrors on a vehicle. They start to synchronize the turn signal. They look for oncoming traffic, etc., right? And they start to notice those varying skills and techniques to driving. Lastly, mastery. They are now an experienced driver. The individual doesn't even realize when they've used the turn signal. It just automatically happens. Their right hand flips on that turn signal, and they've checked for oncoming traffic, and they've smoothly made a turn with little effort and not a conscious desire to really focus on what's going on around them. So currently I work within food manufacturing, and I enjoy watching new associates walk onto our floors and learning the rules for food safety. This is one of the greatest and most awe-inspiring aspects of my job is watching individuals and then seeing where the gaps of knowledge are and then providing the training in order to help them succeed. One of these aspects is the use of hairnets. So when associates first come into our facilities, they're guided to the containers that hold a variety of colors of hairnets. Now, each of the different colors of hairnets indicate different jobs on the floor. Many associates may not even realize that hairnets are needed or required, let alone a different color for a different job. This is that ignorance phase, right? Then the associates realize that hairnets are required, and they learn the color they will need to use for their position, an awareness phase. Next, they start to learn how to properly wear that hairnet. They may use mirrors that are available. Sometimes they'll ask for verification from someone around them to let them know if the hairnet's on correctly. Did they choose the right color? Is all of their hair tucked up inside? The learning phase. Now we move on to that mastery phase. And this is fascinating. After associates have been using the hairnets for some time, they fluidly use them. And it's absolutely ecstatic and fun to watch this transformation because the associate will walk by the containers, grab a hairnet with one hand with little thought. They quickly slip the hairnet on. Sometimes associates may even be talking and laughing with another associate while slipping their hairnet on. They don't even think about the color or the method to putting on that hairnet. Mastery phase. So I want you to think about these levels of competence and how they can be used. What examples can you think of, and how can you use it within your teaching and training careers?